Not one single Division I team offered him a scholarship. The NFL didn't even invite him to a tryout. He was a nobody, a D3 reject. But he had a work ethic that was bigger than their doubts. This is the story of how the janitor became an NFL captain and a franchise legend.
Jackson, the acceleration, the balance, and the touchdown.
Gonna go deep down the far sideline. It is caught by Fred Jackson out of the backfield.
In the 2009 season, a 28-year-old running back for the Buffalo Bills did something no one in the history of the sport had ever done. He rushed for 1,062 yards, and in the same season, added 1,014 kick return yards. He was the first player in NFL history to eclipse 1,000 yards in both categories. It was a stunning display of versatility and endurance, a breakout performance that shocked the league and earned him a massive contract extension. But the most shocking part of this story isn't what he did in 2009. It's where he was just 6 years earlier. He wasn't on an NFL roster. He wasn't on a practice squad. He wasn't even in the league. In 2003, Fred Jackson's football dream was over. He was a 22-year-old college graduate living in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, working as a counselor at a residential treatment center for at-risk youth, earning about $10 an hour and sometimes cleaning the building's floors as part of his duties. He was a D3 reject, a nobody who had been passed over by every single team in the NFL. This is the story of his impossible climb. Fred Jackson's journey began in Fort Worth, Texas. He grew up in a large family, one of 9 siblings, and attended Arlington Lamar High School, a big school in one of the most competitive football states in the country. He was a productive player, but in a state filled with 5-star recruits and athletic freaks, he was simply overlooked. He was considered undersized at about 185 pounds and didn't have the blazing 4.3-second 40-yard dash speed that Division I scouts drool over.
So how did you end up from, the Dallas area down in Texas up here at Coe College in Cedar Rapids?
Long story short, I was tiny in high school, didn't play much.
How small?
5'6", 145 pounds.
When his senior year ended, the scholarship offers didn't come. Not from Texas, not from Oklahoma, not from anywhere in the Division 1A level. He received 0 D1 offers. His only serious offer came from Coe College, a small private liberal arts school in Cedar Rapids, Iowa that competes in NCAA Division III.
Went to Coe College, the only place that offered, me and my brother a place to come play football, after high school.
For a kid from Texas, this was a brutal rejection. D3 football is the lowest level of NCAA competition. There are no athletic scholarships. The players are there purely for the love of the game, with almost 0 chance of a professional career. For all intents and purposes, accepting that offer was accepting that his NFL dream was dead. But Jackson took the only chance he had. And at Coe College, he was a man among boys. He was a complete force, a D1 talent playing against D3 competition. He was a 2-time All-American and 2-time Iowa Conference MVP. He shattered the school and conference record books, finishing his college career with 4,264 rushing yards and 61 total touchdowns. He was, without question, one of the greatest D3 players of his time. But in the eyes of the NFL, greatest D3 player meant nothing. The 2003 NFL Draft came and went. Jackson sat by the phone, hoping for just one team to take a chance on him as a late-round pick. The phone never rang. He went completely undrafted. He wasn't even invited to the NFL Combine. Worse, not a single one of the 32 NFL teams invited him to a rookie minicamp or a tryout. The rejection was total. The D3 label was a stigma he couldn't escape. His football career was over. With a young family to support, Jackson did what he had to do. He moved back to his college town of Cedar Rapids and got a job as a counselor at Tanneyer Place, a treatment center for kids with severe behavioral and psychiatric issues. His job was to mentor these kids, to be a stable presence in their chaotic lives. His duties also involved cleaning up messes, which earned him the nickname the janitor from his coworkers. This was his new reality. The All-American running back was now 22 years old, working a grueling, emotionally draining job for $10 an hour. He was watching players he knew he was better than getting their shot in the NFL while he was quite literally cleaning up. This was his rock bottom. His NFL dream was dead, buried under the label of a D3 reject and a janitor's paycheck. But a tiny spark remained, one that would lead him to the last chance saloon of professional football. While working as a counselor at Tannier Place, Fred Jackson never gave up. He was now 23 years old, 2 years removed from his college playing days, and a young father with a family to support. He continued to train, waking up in the dark to run and lift weights before his long shifts at the youth center. He was holding on to a sliver of hope, looking for any opportunity, no matter how small, to get back onto the field. That opportunity finally came from the most unlikely of places: the Sioux City Bandits, a team in the National Indoor Football League, or NIFL. This wasn't the NFL. It wasn't even close. The NIFL was a semi-pro league, the absolute bottom of the barrel. The pay was tiny, just a few $100s per game. The games were played on small, carpeted fields in minor league hockey arenas. It was a league for players with no other options, a place where football dreams usually went to die. Jackson's old college coach reportedly had to beg the Bandits coach just to give him a tryout. But for Fred Jackson, it was a helmet, a pair of pads, and a chance. He dominated. In the chaotic, fast-paced world of indoor football, his D3 honed skills were on full display. But it was his second season, 2005, where he truly exploded. He was an unstoppable force, a man among boys once again, running through and around the competition. He was named the NIFL MVP after rushing for a league-leading 1,770 yards and scoring 53 touchdowns. He had conquered the indoor league. His MVP performance still wasn't enough to get a call from the NFL, but it did get him noticed by the next level up, NFL Europe. In 2006, Jackson earned a spot in NFL Europe, a developmental league run by the NFL where teams sent their prospects to get more experience. This was a critical step. He was allocated to the Hamburg Sea Devils, where he would finally be playing against real high-level competition, other NFL prospects and D1 college stars. This was his real proving ground. And, once again, he dominated. He led the entire league in rushing with 731 yards. He proved that his D3 numbers weren't a fluke and that his indoor stats weren't just a gimmick. He could play real 11-on-11 football against top-tier athletes. He was 25 years old, and he had finally, after 3 long years in the wilderness, built a resume that an NFL team couldn't ignore. Back in America, one of the few executives who still bothered to watch grainy NFL Europe tape was Marv Levy, the legendary 81-year-old Hall of Fame coach who had returned to the Buffalo Bills as their general manager. Levy, from an older generation, wasn't obsessed with combine numbers or 40-yard dash times. He valued character, toughness, and most importantly, what he saw on the game tape. On that tape, he saw Fred Jackson, a tough, smart, downhill runner who broke tackles and protected the ball. He saw a football player. In 2006, Marv Levy signed the 25-year-old undrafted rookie from Division III to an NFL contract. But the climb wasn't over. Jackson was a 25-year-old rookie, significantly older than everyone else, and he was still a long shot. He had a good training camp, but it wasn't enough to make the final roster. The Bills cut him, but signed him to their practice squad for the 2006 season. It was another grueling test of his patience. A practice squad player is in a brutal position. You practice all week like a starter, but you don't get to suit up on Sunday. You get a small salary, and at any moment you can be released. For an entire year, Jackson did his job, working on special teams, learning the playbook, and showing the coaches his relentless work ethic every single day, all with no guarantee of ever playing in a real game. The next summer, he returned to training camp at age 26, fighting for his life. This time, he made it. He officially made the Buffalo Bills' 53-man roster for the 2007 season, primarily as a kick returner and the third-string running back, sitting behind the team's new superstar rookie, Marshawn Lynch. After 4 years of being a D3 reject, a janitor, an indoor league MVP, an NFL Europe star, and a practice squad grinder, Fred Jackson had finally, impossibly made it.
Jackson makes the catch. Freddie cuts it upfield. 10-5, still on his feet. Touchdown! Touchdown!
He was an NFL player. But making the team wasn't the dream. It was just the first step. The D3 reject now had to prove he could actually play with the best in the world. His first contributions came not on offense, but on special teams. He became a workhorse on the kick return unit, a grueling, thankless job that he attacked with the same ferocity that had defined his entire career. He proved his toughness and reliability in the dirty work. He got a few carries here and there when Lynch needed a rest, showing flashes of his tough downhill running style, but he was far from a star. He finished his rookie season with modest numbers, but he had survived. He had proven he could stick. His second season, 2008, was more the same. He was the reliable backup, the change of pace back to Lynch's beast mode style. He was a good locker room guy, a professional who did his job, but he was still an afterthought in the league. He was 27 years old, a backup running back. In the NFL, that's usually where a story like his ends. A nice career as a role player, a feel-good story about a guy who beat the odds. But Fred Jackson's story was just getting started. In 2009, at age 28, an age when many running backs are considered to be on the decline, Jackson got his first real shot. He earned a significant role in the offense, sharing the backfield with Lynch, but also staying on as the team's primary kick returner. And he put together one of the most unique and historic seasons in the history of the sport. He was a dual-threat workhorse. As a running back, he was a revelation. He rushed for 1,062 yards, proving to be a powerful and consistent runner. But he didn't stop there. He remained the team's kick returner, standing deep in his own end zone, taking hit after hit. And he was electric in that role too, racking up 1,014 kick return yards. When the season ended, the stat sheet revealed something incredible. Fred Jackson had become the first and only player in NFL history to record 1,000+ rushing yards and 1,000+ kick return yards in the same season. It was a monumental and almost unbelievable achievement, a testament to his versatility, his toughness, and his incredible endurance. The D3 reject, the janitor, the indoor league MVP, had just done something that no Hall of Famer, no first-round pick, no legendary athlete had ever done before. He had carved his own unique path into the NFL record books.
I've been spending the past week looking for it, and I finally found it. I finally made it to the NFL.
The Bills organization, realizing they had a legitimate star, rewarded him. They signed him to a 4-year, $16.5 million contract extension in 2009, finally giving the 28-year-old the financial security he had been fighting for his entire adult life. The man who was earning $10 an hour cleaning floors at a youth center just a few years earlier was now a multi-millionaire. That was his ultimate triumph. He was no longer Fred Jackson, the D3 guy. He was Fred Jackson, an NFL star and the heart and soul of the Buffalo Bills. He became a team captain, revered in the locker room for his work ethic and his journey. The fans in Buffalo, a blue-collar city that prides itself on toughness and hard work, adored him. He was one of them. He went on to become one of the most consistent players in the league. When the Bills drafted the explosive C.J. Spiller, Jackson didn't complain. He embraced the new player, forming one of the league's most effective running back tandems, famously nicknamed Thunder and Lightning. Spiller was the Lightning, the fast, big play threat. Jackson was the Thunder, the tough, physical, one-cut runner who would punish defenses and move the chains. Despite his consistent excellence, he had over 1,400 total yards in 2010 and was on pace for another monster season in 2011 before an injury. He was constantly overlooked for the Pro Bowl, adding to his underdog legacy. But it didn't matter. He had already proven his point. He had become the heart and soul of Buffalo, a true franchise icon. But in the cold business of the NFL, loyalty is never a guarantee. and his journey was about to face one last painful twist. Fred Jackson was more than just a player for the Buffalo Bills. He was an institution. For nearly a decade, he was the living, breathing embodiment of the city's blue-collar, hard-working identity. He was a team captain, a leader in the locker room, and a fan favorite who was affectionately known as Freddie. He had given everything to the team that had given him his one-in-a-million shot. He played through countless injuries, mentoring younger players like Marshawn Lynch and CJ Spiller, and he did it all while staying loyal to a franchise that rarely won. He was the consummate professional, the reliable veteran. But the NFL is a brutal business.
We're in my office in Florida, and basically we decided that we want the Buffalo Bills to be a nightmare to play against. So I'm going to introduce Rex now. So Rex, come on up.
In 2015, under a new coaching regime led by Rex Ryan, the Bills were looking to get younger. Jackson, now 34 years old, was heading into the final year of his contract. Despite still being a productive player, the new front office saw him as an aging asset. On August 31st, 2015, just days before the final roster cuts, the Bills made a shocking and cold-hearted decision. They released Fred Jackson.
Heartbreak all over Western New York. Fans devastated to learn that Jackson will no longer be with the team. Even Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown chiming in.
The move sent shockwaves through the fan base. It was a deeply unpopular and emotional decision that was seen as a profound sign of disrespect. He was third on the team's all-time rushing list, a beloved captain, and he was cut without ceremony.
Big part of the community. I know he's getting up there in age, but still, I mean, he was a big force in the locker room, so he's going to be missed.
It was a brutal reminder that even legends rarely get to choose their own ending. Jackson himself was heartbroken, later saying he was shocked and that he had planned to retire as a Bill. But his career wasn't quite over. He signed a one-year deal with the Seattle Seahawks, giving him a chance to do two things he had never done: play for a Super Bowl contender and reunite with his old teammate, Marshawn Lynch. He spent the 2015 season as a valued third down back and veteran leader for the Seahawks, contributing to their playoff run. After that season, at 35 years old, his NFL journey finally came to an end. But his story with Buffalo was not finished.
Now, Fred Jackson is returning to the team this week, at least for a day. 7 Eyewitness.
In 2018, Fred Jackson officially retired from the NFL by signing a one-day contract with the Buffalo Bills, ensuring that he would end his career as a member of the team and the city that he loved. Fitting end, a way to heal the wound of his release and honor his incredible legacy. That legacy is one of the most powerful in modern sports. He finished his career with nearly 6,000 rushing yards and over 30 touchdowns. He remains the third all-time leading rusher in Buffalo Bills history, behind only Hall of Famers Thurman Thomas and O.J. Simpson. Yes, O.J. Simpson. White Bronco. He is arguably the most successful undrafted player from a Division III school in the history of the sport. His story is the ultimate proof that being overlooked is not a death sentence. It's a powerful lesson in perseverance, a testament to what can happen when talent meets a relentless, unshakable work ethic. He went from a D3 reject to a janitor to an indoor league MVP to an NFL Europe star to a practice squad grinder to an NFL record holder and a franchise icon. He proved every scout, every coach, and every person who ever doubted him wrong. He turned a janitor's paycheck into a multi-million-dollar NFL career, from mopping floors to mopping defenses. Talk about a clean sweep. Who else has an underdog story that deserves the spotlight? Toss it in the comments. We might just chase it next. We're already digging into the next wild one, so hit that subscribe button before your thumbs cramp up. Don't be a healthy scratch. Nobody brags about watching from the bench.